Welcome, my spirited family, to this week's Dancing with Your Divinely Feminine Wisdom. I'm Deborah Roth from Spirited Living, and I'm bringing you on my continued journey in my grieving process, which we started last week with Julian of Norwich. Most of you know, I think by now, if we're connected here on Instagram and Facebook, that my nephew and godson died on May 3rd, 21-year-old. So our family is in a deep place right now. I'm actually at my mom's, different setting than you're used to seeing, because she was in the hospital with pneumonia for several days, and she's home now, thankfully, and I'm headed back to the city. So it's been quite a time. But I wanted to embrace, and in my newsletter this month, my Deb's Picks included lots of really, I think, powerful grieving resources that I found. If I remember, I'll put a link in the comments to the newsletter, and you can read more about Max and some of the things that I found as I move through this deep journey, as my family does. And so I was curious. We're in the time of Taurus, which is earth energy, and I was curious to see what the grieving goddesses were, if we're looking at the divine feminine. And the one that really hit me, because I think of her as being an earth goddess and being most connected with the spring equinox and her daughter Persephone, is Demeter. And in fact, if you go back, it would have been sometime around the spring equinox, around March 21st, you'll see one of these videos about Persephone. And the story, without going into the whole story, is that in that video I talked about the patriarchal version of the Demeter Persephone story and the feminist version. The patriarchal version is that Persephone was kidnapped against her will by the god of the underworld, Hades. And the feminist view of it was that she goes voluntarily to aid and provide succor, to provide comfort to people who have died. And she goes willingly and separates from her mother, from Demeter. So whatever version, obviously you know which one I vote for, whichever version you embrace, the message, Demeter's side of the story, is that she is bereft, and she wails and mourns, and she doesn't necessarily know where her daughter has gone. And it's eventually, in the original Greek version, it's Hecate that lets her know. But her wail and her lamentation is heard throughout the land, and all the fields die, all vegetation on earth dies, because she is the earth goddess. She's the goddess of the earth. And that's when the gods beseech Zeus to bring Persephone back in the original myth, so that the humans don't die off, and therefore nobody will be around to worship the gods and goddesses. So, but it's the lamentation piece that so struck me. And it's one of the things that in Greek mythology, where they say that because of her prolonged unresolved grief until she finds out where her daughter is, that she, of all of the goddesses, is the most compassionate and the most empathetic to humans, because she understands the feelings of loss. You know, when you're a superhuman, whatever, you may not understand grief. And the idea is that she understands pain and suffering as humans do, because of the loss of her daughter Persephone before she reemerges. So, and that it reminded me so clearly, two instances which I'll share with you. One is when my father died, now 25 years ago this spring, and I did not know he was going to die. And I went to a spring equinox ritual 2 nights before he died. And they told the story of Demeter and Persephone, and there was a beautiful singer who did a lament. She sang a lament. She wailed to express Demeter's pain and suffering in losing her daughter and not being able to find her daughter. And it was so beautiful and so affecting. And then I found out 2 days later that my dad died. Never forgotten that really deep, poignant connection. And then, much more recently, several weeks ago, it was 2 days after Max died, and I go in and out. Those of you who have been through the grieving process know it's kind of unpredictable, and I went in and out of that state of grief, sometimes very intently. And there was a point when I just posted about Max that morning. It was Wednesday morning the 5th on Facebook. And some hours later was reading through all the comments and sitting at my computer sobbing, and the phone rang, and I could see with caller ID that it was a dear friend, Melanie. And I'm sure you can relate to this. There aren't a whole lot of people I would pick up the phone when I'm in the middle of sobbing, but Melanie is that friend, that kind of friend, and so I did, and she was already crying. And we wailed together. It was extraordinary, and I couldn't even put words to it until afterwards. She was with me. She wasn't just feeling for me. She was feeling with me in that deep place, because she's known me for years. She never got to meet Max, but she knew my pain. And I got in touch with her a day or two later when I could articulate it, just how healing it was to have someone wail with me, who would be the place that I was in without expecting anything in return, and to just be with me and not just there for me. Not that I want to do that, and I have so many dear friends that I've talked with, and there's been no wailing, and that's fine. But when you have that opportunity, it's just extraordinary. So what I'd like to do, I want to sing for you. I've probably sang it here before because it is one of my favorite songs. Not quite a chant, but it's the song that I sang to Max in hospice the last time I saw him. I didn't know what I could offer. I'd given him hand massages and sang this song. And I'll also sing to you, or read to you, this beautiful poem that was actually read at my dad's memorial service years ago, and I'd forgotten it. And I don't know if it'll be read at Max's or not, but it's called A Parable of Immortality, or Gone from My Sight. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails in the morning breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength, and I stand and watch until at last she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and the sky come together. Someone at my side says, "There she goes." Goes where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She is just as large in mast and hull and spar, and just as able to bear her load of living freight to the place of destination as she was when she left my side. Her diminished size is in me, not in her, and just at the moment when we say, "There she goes," other eyes are watching her coming. Other voices are ready to take up the glad shout, "Here she comes!" Whew. So I have to find the author, and I will give you that link as well. And that has special meaning in my family because we grew up sailing, and my brothers all sail, and Max and his brothers all sail. So the last thing that I will leave you with is this beautiful song that I've never sung to someone in that transition, and I hope it inspires you to hold deep within yourself. I sing it to you. Think of the different ways and the different people that you can sing it yourself. How could anyone ever tell you that you're anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you that you're less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your love is like a miracle, how deeply you're connected to my soul. That's from Libby Roderick. You can find her, you can find it. How could anyone ever tell you you're anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you're less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your love is like a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul, forever and ever. Thank you for being with me in this deep place. And not sure what's up next week. I don't remember. Brain's been a little fuzzy lately. But I'm so glad to have this space to share in and to share the divine feminine. And please reach out and share your thoughts, your feelings, your songs. Namaste, and bye for now.